is it, what causes someone to wake up and, I guess, out of a quote unquote sleep, call it whatever you want, not being
Yeah.
so heavily focused on what you just said? What causes some, is it spirit itself, like our creator itself saying, like giving you a wake up call? Or what do you think is
Mm,
the catalyst for a lot of change like that? Because it's like, let me ask you this. What is a spiritual awakening, if you had to describe it? And how does one
mm,
know that they're going through something like that?
phew. Usually everything starts to fall apart in some big ways. That's how you know. Like, I mean, really the old understanding of your reality begins to crumble. I call it your soul throwing a tantrum. It's like, enough. I'm not going to allow anything to in this understanding or the way that you see your life pertaining to, like your current environment that may be existing based off what everybody else tells you should do. I'm not going to allow it to give you peace anymore. I'm not going to allow it to give you any sense of comfort. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to feel hellish in some sense. And that's the understanding of how you can know that you may be going through the beginnings of that spiritual awakening in some sense. And it doesn't have to be that heavy. I say it doesn't have to be that heavy, but usually it has to be, because we often are scared or really worried about stepping out on our own understanding or our own soul soul path that doesn't involve receiving outside validation from other people. So it has to be strong. Like for me, uh, first of all, I believe that you're always going through some level of a spiritual ascension. That's why it's hard for me to say that certain individuals may not be awake. It's not that, but there's a greater understanding of spiritual ascension, and then there is possibly an understanding of just incrementally growing into that for yourself. And there's nothing wrong with either one, And I think that maybe now where we are in the world, a lot of people are having greater understandings of that ascension, versus maybe in the past there was only a few that were heavily doing so. So we're stepping into a world that is really, it actually has been known to be called the Great Awakening, which is where large amounts of people step into that understanding in some sense. And as far as like, how do you know if that's happening to you? It's like I said, it can usually mean that your current environment is breaking down. Maybe you may finally make the decision to make one choice that fits the understanding of what your soul is wanting, and your soul takes that and runs with it. It's like, okay, well, this point that you took, I'm going to take this as you being ready to really completely change your entire environment and to realign it into everything that you truly want for yourself, or you truly meant to have. So it can be that understanding. For me, I feel like my highest understanding of awakening came with me ending a relationship. But maybe for some people, it could be leaving a job. Maybe for some people, it could be they finally remove a parent from their life, or remove friends, or remove certain energies from their life or from their environment. I think that it's dependent on what is meant to happen for your journey, but it's different. It's not some set understanding, and Eckhart Tolle, like he himself has said that if you've ever read his book, he talks about how for him it came on like his like 30th birthday or something, and he just had this sense of like questioning like who he was and everything else. It wasn't really based off, at least the way it was described in his book, it wasn't really based off somebody or something outside of himself. He just started having these questions about the I am understanding in some sense. So it's different for everybody.
Hmm. But do you think it's orchestrated from God, or is it something that you choose? What's
You said, do I think it's orchestrated from God or something that you choose? Well, there's some people that believe that you made the choice to walk a specific path or timeline this lifetime before stepped into this physical body or were born into this physical world. Um, I could believe that. I could believe that it's the understanding of that being the case. But at the same time, at the end of the day, how I understand it, or what spirit has told me about itself, is it's giving you these infinite understandings and opportunities to choose what you want your experience to be. You know, it's not so much that it's trying to control you, because it could be said that there are multiple timelines that could fit your highest and best understanding. And the end result of it may be that you have the partner that you want to be with, but you are in a different career, or different this or different that. But it's ultimately the understanding for whatever timeline that you're in, that is that highest understanding. It has all the other parts that feel right, or feel balanced, or feel fulfilling. You know, maybe you have a different job in that world. Maybe you have more children in that understanding. Maybe you have, whatever the case may be. For me, I've experienced through a lot of my own visions or dreams and things of that nature, I've experienced timelines that were emotionally fulfilling, but not necessarily the timeline that I'm going to experience this lifetime. You know, I've experienced walking the understanding as if I had lived the entire life of it. And this great understanding, I'm not necessarily living it in this physical body that I'm in, but there is a version of me out there that exists in that timeline, or is having that experience. But that's not the one that I'm experiencing here, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's almost, as much as possible, spirit has tried to give you the opportunity and ability to experience an emotionally fulfilling life for yourself based off your own free will. However, at the same time, there's still certain understandings that may not best fit that understanding, that you would have to step away from to experience any of those highest and best timelines for yourself.
But how do you get to the highest? I know I kind of already, but like, how do you?
When you say that, if you can pinpoint it to just one timeline of that, if you can pinpoint it to just one timeline understanding, you would be saying that you're going to continue to step up more and more and more into your growth and your potential. Your potential is endless. So if you want to continue to move toward the best and highest timeline, if you want to, you're really just saying, how do you come into just pure oneness and release all those other timelines? Continue to walk, no matter how hard it is, continue to walk the path of ultimate truth. And that's the understanding of an ascended master. That's what the ascended master does. It walks the path of truth and truth alone. It doesn't allow any understanding to pull it from that understanding. It walks only that path, you know? And yeah, like that's how you get to that one best and highest timeline. The reason it's hard is because it really is completely an understanding of self validation, you know, listening to really only your soul self until everything begins to align. Because the thing about it is that the things around you may have to really shift and change or crumble down. And that process is hard, because it's also, not only is your 3D environment shifting and changing that way, but you're changing that way as well. So it's a realigning of self, and also a realigning of your 3D environment in some major ways. But that's the understanding of walking the truest and best and highest timeline for yourself. Continuing to step, no matter how hard it is, no matter how much anxiety comes up and everything else, you know, just release that stuff and cry it out, whatever the case may be, and be like, okay, I'm leaving that behind and I'm continuing to move forward toward my best, highest timeline.
How do you know what that is? How do we know that this is the ultimate truth? Or how do you even know? Let's say someone's willing, they're like, I want to be on the highest and best, I want to follow truth. What does that mean? And what does that mean?
To follow the highest and best timeline, or
truth.
To follow truth? So everybody's truth is not necessarily the same in some sense. I mean, there is what some people consider to be an ultimate truth. When you speak about the ascended masters, you know, they were of all religions. You know, they didn't necessarily come from one place. And in the sense of religion, they weren't just like all Christian or all Buddhist or anything. They came from different walks of life, and they chose a pure understanding of truth over anything else. You know, but if you exist in a specific religion, the truth of that religion may be different from what the highest truth or the highest and best understanding is. And so it's kind of about, it really asks you to step away from really, you can say so much of an organized understanding outside of what your soul is pulling you towards. Now, I can't say that the truth of what's in your soul purely is the same as the truth of what may be in somebody else's soul in that understanding, but it really is about you learning to trust you in some sense. And a lot of times you will see that there could be people that you end up connecting with or moving toward that also, if they're on that same path, their energy mirrors similarly to yours. You'll feel the intuitive understanding of, hey, this is it. So you can say that this truth or this understanding is the same or similar, but I don't think it's ever actually completely the same, because we are all different. We're all unique, and spirit's plans for us, or even the understanding of the way that we want to live our life, is unique. So it's really hard to say that it's about just this one understanding beyond all things, and this is it, because that's like saying that you don't have your own mind and you don't have your own understanding that you're meant to exist in. And to some extent, we are meant to exist in our own realm, our own understanding. That is spirit's gift to us. Its gift is to give us our own perspective of the world. Now, through that perspective and lens, there may be similarities that lead you to a vibrational understanding where you can exist equally with people who have a similar but not completely the same vibrational understanding, but that's it. So it's not about trying to have this hive mind, if that makes sense. You're still, spirit does want you to have your own perspective of the world, your own view, your own likes. Maybe you like sweets, and this other person who also similarly feels the same way as you, they don't like sweets, or whatever the case may be. I'm simplifying it, but it's just like, it's not about expecting you and whoever else may also be following the purest truth within themselves to have and think exactly the same way, because it's not about having this hive mind understanding. Hey, you guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have a question you would like to ask or would like the opportunity to receive a one-on-one session, please check out the links in this video's description to sign up for a free session or submit a question.